record on my computer. So welcome everyone. It is our Be the Change call. Today is Monday, March the 23rd. And my name is Linda Evenden. I'm a wife, a mama, a coach. I'm a networker. I do all kinds of things. And the thing that I'm most passionate about is connecting people and bringing our best part forward so each of us can be the change for ourselves first and foremost and make the world a better place. So these calls are really designed, at this time of uncertainty that just feels unprecedented. There's so many different things that we can be focusing on. And what I do really want to focus on is managing our state, showing up in our best version. And that is not always easy to do, believe me. Even on the school run this morning, there was a little bit of chaos here today. The kids, we have 4 kids that in the house, 4 getting off to school this morning. And I had to stop myself because I was in my reactive self, reacting to some emotional behavior from some of the kids. Of course, they're going to be reacting at the moment. And I just, thank goodness, could stop myself for a second and say, do you need a hug? And they were resisting. They're like, no, I don't. And then they just eventually relaxed and had a cry. So, it's on my heart to say, do you need a hug? Are you okay? And maybe whoever is at home with you right now, maybe it's a dog or a cat. Maybe it's someone here on the Zoom today. I'm just going to go to gallery view because I love seeing people's faces. If you're able to, if it's safe and you're able to, we don't care how you look or if you have bed hair or you're still in your pajamas or whatever. We would love you to be on camera with us because this shows you participating. These calls have been very, very powerful. We've done a week's worth now. We're heading into our 2nd week. I'm so grateful to the amazing caliber of thought leaders, coaches, healers, just amazing people who are saying yes. They're not even sure what it is, why we're here, and they're just like, yes, I want to add value to the world. People need this right now. So I love that trust and faith in people. So I have the great pleasure today, we're in for such a treat. Our guest speaker today is Lieberman-Wang. She is an absolute powerhouse. I rather than me read the bio, I actually love for you to share your story and your version. There's kind of our highlight, our sizzle reel, but then I love like, who's the woman? You know what I mean? Because that's what this connection call is about. When you started to step up to be the change, when we were just chatting before about your history, that's the part that I love the most. Like, how did you get where you are now? Why are you so passionate about it? And I know that we're going to cover all kinds of amazing things in the time that we have together. So Lisa, I'm pinning you. And, let me start by asking you, what's your story? How did you come to be an incredible coach and, serving both business and personal people in their lives in transformation?
Well, I think the best thing about any leader is you're a great follower. And I was a great follower for the longest time. And I had found some amazing leaders that I trusted in and I wanted to follow. What ended up happening for me is from a very young age, I had aspirations of greatness. No matter how great I was, I never thought I was enough. Raise your hand if you can relate, never feeling enough. I don't know if I'll thank you. I didn't want to be alone. And I had achieved unbelievable success. But early in my career, I ended up with dealing with depression, eating disorders, anxiety, high blood pressure, and all the others. And by the time I was 18, I was on 13 prescriptions, hospitalized for a sudden heart attack. And this became 13 years of dis-ease with myself. And a very dear friend of mine told me about 13 years into it, I was 30 years old. She said, 31, whatever, 30. She said, Tony Robbins coming to town and there's going to be a fire walk. So I thought fire walks help bulimics and depression and all the other stuff. I didn't know who he was. And I was on her table being adjusted for my adjustment. And she gets me into the event. I'm at the Unleash the Power Within front row seats. And it turns out that it was through the Dickens process that Tony does that I had this realization when everybody said that this was hurting them. I always said it was me, it's me. It's not about you, it's about me, and realize it's not just about me, it's about others. And that's actually how I met Lauren. And Lauren Slocum was a really big piece of why I'm doing what I'm doing today, which is so interesting that the connection here comes full circle. And it turned out that that was not the end of my hurting myself, but it was the beginning of me making the changes. And at Date with Destiny, they were looking for someone suicidal. And honestly, I never raised my hand. I know now how I was chosen. I didn't know then. And Tony ended up working with me for 4 to 6 hours. And then all his amazing trainers and senior leaders started working with me while I was there. And I honestly decided I needed to commit and give him any service I could to support him for supporting me. So that was 26 years ago. And I volunteered and crewed for like 10, 12 years. And I eventually took off for a couple of years because I'd gotten remarried. And Lauren called me up and said, Lisa, you need to come to this event. I said, Lauren, it's not a good time. I'm leaving my ex at the time. She goes, nope. And any reason you give Lauren, she tells you is the opposite. I said, it's not a good time. She goes, that's why you need to come. So I ended up going to an event and going back into the environment. And the whole thing about leading was really about, first, you can't lead where you haven't gone. And that was a very big thing for me. I had unbelievable success. By the time I was 30 years old, I was a millionaire. And I worked for companies like IBM and MCI. But when I was 40 years old, I was $500,000 in debt. And how did that happen? Well, MCI became WorldCom and WorldCom went bankrupt, if you remember. And I had my 401k and ESOP in there. And then 9/11 happened and my husband worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers as a consultant. So we went from millionaires to poor for what felt overnight, which was 2 years. So I have to tell you, other than the fact that the coronavirus and dealing with death, I've dealt with just about everything I could ever deal with. I thought with, prosperity to being in debt to losing it. I have a stepson. I have 3 grandsons. They're 2, 8, and 11, and the one will be 12. And, I'm really blessed today, but I'm going to tell you, it wasn't an easy road to get here. And what happened was I owned 4 companies. I'd been in the direct sales industry. I shared earlier. I started that 26 years ago. And when I wasn't really in love with it, but after 9/11, I decided to go and build one of the company I was involved in. And this is going to sound crazy for some of you, but within 3 months, I was on track for 6 figures. And by the end of the year, I was making 25 to 36,000 in a 4-week period, and then doubled it and kept doing that and was able to retire from the industry. In other words, I still get paid about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that I don't need to do that, but it gave me the vehicle and the revenue to do what I really love and what I'm passionate about. So I think that with anything, there's always, I look at everything as a means to an end. And we were on a platinum partner trip and Lauren turned around. This is what happened 10 years ago. Lauren was in Egypt with me, and out of nowhere, I have no idea why she chose to say this to me. She said, you're supposed to help women. I said, no, Lauren, I teach people how to make money because that's what I've done for years. I have a computer consulting company for 18 years, a marketing business. I've been doing this for decades. I've done 60 million in sales in my career for corporate and my own business. And she said, no, you're supposed to be helping people. And I said, no. Fast forward 1 year later, do not know what happened. I woke up one morning and I'm coming down the stairs and I call my husband Handsome and he's down the bottom of the stairs and I just wake up, I come out on the landing. I look down and I said, Handsome, I'm supposed to save lives. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but you need to take over our businesses. At that time, we only had 3. We have 5 now. And I said, I'm no longer doing any of that. I'm starting a new business. And I got on the computer and no joke, I go on the computer, I take care of my emails, I get on social media, and Dr. Walker, who was with us in Egypt in the very conversation I had with Lauren, tags a picture of our feet in the conversation we had the year and the week, a year to the same week prior. And I looked up, I said, okay, God, I got the message. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I shifted my entire career over to start helping successful women that were hurting themselves like I was, who dealt with sexual abuse or eating disorders or anything else. And I wrote a book. It became a #1 bestseller. We've sold over 10,000 copies, fine to fab. I'm going to show you how you can get it for free after if you'd like an ebook. But I wrote the book, and then it turned out that I started helping women. They wanted more help. They wanted to build business, and I know how to build business, and I started helping them build business. And I've been on ABC, NBC, CBS, everywhere else, and been really blessed to live a life that really fulfills me now more than anything I've ever done before. So that's me.
I love it. What a story. Now, this is why story is so important, right? Because now we can understand that you've been many different places that we've been, when we feel alone, when we feel disconnected, when we feel not enough, when we feel isolated. And there's so much, I'm sure you'd agree, of this circulating around at the moment. It would be so easy to just kind of lose it at the moment. And so, you know, what is on your heart to share about, because we really get that you're in an amazing position to do this, having experienced so much of that trauma over your life at different times. What's the #1 thing that, you know, the human spirit needs now more than ever to get back to and to remember, to practice, to condition? You know, let's start with your very best advice of what you're telling your clients to do at the moment.
Well, you know what? Right now, I think the most important thing we need to do is see things as they are, not worse than they are. And this is what I mean by this. You know, in the U.S., there's a lot of containment. We've already have kids homeschooled. Businesses are shut down. We're officially shut down. We can only go for supermarkets or medical. That's our only limitation. We can't do anything else. And I know it's all around the world. We're at different levels, maybe who got there first, but we're in the same situation. And one thing I'm grateful for is I've been working from home for 26 years. So to me, nothing changed in how I do things, but my clients have, where a spouse or maid is home, where the kids are home, routines are disrupted. We've had a lot of uncertainty about how we're doing things. And I think we need to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the basic level is survival. And right now, when things are uncertain, people just need that survival, that certainty level of what they know as routine, and we're going to be okay. The reason I say we have perspective is in the US, we have 114 people, unfortunately, who passed away. The statistics are showing, listen to this, like 36 people were in a nursing home because one person went away out of the country, came back, and the other got it from him or her, and 36 people were elderly people in a nursing home. So when we put things in perspective, one, who is this really affecting? If your immune system's compromised, your company that you're doing with the networking and the nutrition and all the others, this should be the biggest time of year for you, because I am now talking to people about immune boosting things. I just did a Facebook Live earlier because I'm so honestly, I'm really angry at people. They're so worried about the coronavirus, but they're going to stores, they're buying milk, dairy, mucus forming things that are going to get them sick. They're eating bread, which is flour and water, which is so crazy unhealthy. And they're here in hibernation, but they're not doing what they need to do. They need to be eating healthy. They need to be putting nutrition in their body. They need to be exercising and doing things to stay well for their immune system. So a lot of things go back to the basics. What we can do on a basic level to take care of ourselves so we can manage the 6 inches between our ears. So the 6 inches between your ears, your brain, is the most viable product right now that you need to manage, because if you don't manage your state on how you're either reacting or responding to things, you're going to do what I always said. Dr. Bandler, I happen to be a licensed master NLP practitioner, trainer. I learned from the people who Tony learned from, Bandler, Grinder, and Dilts. And what's really interesting is Dr. Bandler used to say, when people are stressed, think about the fight and flight mode that we go into. When people are stressed, they do stupid. It doesn't mean we're stupid. But all those years I was hurting myself. I was doing stupid. I have 26 years of not hurting myself anymore. But the idea is when people are stressed, they do stupid. So right now, when people are feeling out of sorts, they don't know what they need to do, they have to change their state. So the way you can do that is by changing your energy triangle. Now, you might have heard this different, but would you play with me, please? I call this an energy triangle, because any state you are, you can change your whole, you're going to change your whole life by changing this. So put your hands like this if you would, if you can see me. If I'd love to see you, that would be great. The first thing you do when you're feeling unresourceful is I want you to move your body, right? So always remember, move your body first. So I want you to right now, take a deep breath and let it out. Do it again. Let it out. One more time. Let it out. Do you feel more resourceful now than you did a minute ago? Yes or no? Yes? Yes. Okay, awesome. Move your body. How do we move our body? We can move it by breathing, by changing our physiology, putting our shoulders back, right? You could even have some water. If you have some water near you, do this. Let's drink. Let's nourish ourselves. Let's do what we need to do. Take a walk. Do something. When you're not feeling resourceful and everything, you need to move your body. Get up, do something, do jumping jacks, breathe, change your state, how you're doing. Get up, take a walk, come back, and I want to jump with you. So whatever you're doing, we can do that, right? Okay, so change your body is first. The second has to do with communication and language. It's what you're saying to yourself. Are you saying that this is never going to end? I can't do this. This is too hard. We're going to be stuck at home forever. You know, I hate my family. I wish I never had kids. I don't know. What are you saying, right? They're so challenging now. Listen to the language you're saying, because whatever you're saying is going to become a reality. Your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and vividly imagined. I've been teaching neuroscience and human psychology for decades. It doesn't know the difference what's real and vividly imagined. If you keep saying this always happens to me, this, oh, poor me, you're going to be 100% right. And if you actually start paying attention to what you're saying, you can change some of that stuff, okay? So listening to the language that you're saying. I'm going to show you what you can do next time you say something unresourceful, but in a minute. Okay, the next is do this, a question mark. What are the questions I'm asking myself in this moment? What are the questions I'm asking myself in this moment? Because here's what happens. Are you asking like of something that's going to give you the answer you want, or what's going to give you the one you don't want? Are you saying like, I can't, you know, well, how am I going to do this? No one's going to listen. That's not a resourceful question. Or you're going to be saying to yourself, well, what's great about this? Which question would you think would have a better answer? The one that's what's great, right? Because, thank you, Anne. The second one, because now what's going to happen is you're going to ask yourself a more resourceful question. So language, communication questions we ask ourselves, okay? The third one is the direction of your energy or your focus. Are you focused on the past? Do this with me, the past. Are you focused on the present, or are you focused on the future? Ellen Muth did an amazing TED Talk. She said, when you have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, you're pissing on today. Can I say that? So the idea is you want to stay in the present. You want to stay in the present with the focus going towards the future. We are in unprecedented times. There's nothing to compare this to anything that we've ever been in before. But I will tell you that whether we look at 9/11, which I personally was affected by, I lost people in the building. I was supposed to be in the building that day. Fortunately, I didn't like the owners of the company. They lacked integrity. I resigned 2 weeks before, and I actually had appointments that day in that building, and the people who took over my account changed their time. Thank God for them. But I would have been in that building. I always say everything happens for a reason. But here's what I'm going to tell you. You get to change the whole monologue and the dialogue and how things happen, and it has to do with this. So here's what I want you to do. If you put your video on, I'd love to see you because I want to support you. So put your video on if you can. You can change your physiology in anything you're doing. You can change your language and communication and the questions you're asking. You can change your focus, present and future, and be able to see what you want to do. And the next time you say something unresourceful, okay, who's willing to play with me no matter what I do? Say yes. Put your hands here, okay. You might want to unmute for 1 second because I'm going to want to hear everybody, okay? If there's something that you say that's unresourceful, like what have you been saying to yourself that has not been really cool and you know it's not cool, but you're saying it? What is it? Are you saying this is really hard? How am I going to do this? What's some things you're saying? I want to hear you. Who would like to share something you're saying?
What's something we're saying, darling?
And Susie.
Pardon?
Okay. Susie and Garth, what's something you're saying that's not resourceful? It's crazy, I see from Gabby. You can type it in if you want.
Yeah, I guess it's around lack of income and how are we going to adjust to these conditions in the longer term.
Okay, so how are we going to adjust to this in the long run? Okay, what else? Unresourceful questions or things you're saying to yourself. You can type it in if you'd like. Are you saying this is hard? I'm scared. What am I going to do? No one's going to help me. This is not going to be a bailout. I don't know how this is going to work. Who's doing any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. Whatever you're saying that's unresourceful, please do this with me. I want you to say it out loud. And when you're done, I want you to say, who said that? I'm serious. I'm serious. So I want you to say something unresourceful and we're going to go do that. Ready? Who's in with me? Yes or no? Okay, say something unresourceful. And even if we can't see you, I want you to be doing this only if you want to stop feeling bad. If you want to feel bad, stay the way you are. If you don't want to feel bad, do what you're going to do. So you're going to say something you've been saying is unresourceful, and you can put your hand down. You're good. And then say it out loud, and then you're going to say who said that. Ready? So it's like, oh my God, this is too hard. Who said that? Let's do it together. Same time. Say it out loud. Say it out loud. I can't do this. Who said that? I'm waiting to see somebody else jump. I want you to do it 3 times. Ready? Go ahead 3 times. Say it out loud and then say who said that. Say, who said that? Say it out loud and say who said that. Come on, 2 more times. Come on, 2 more times and then say who said that. 1 more time. Do it again. Who said that? That's right. Now here's what happens. We just did this. We changed our physiology. We changed the language of what we were saying, and we changed our focus. When you do that, you're scrambling the language, you're scrambling the way you do things, and you can reset. You can reset and ask yourself a better question. When you ask better questions, you get better answers. Does this make sense? We got to ask, yeah, who said that? We have to ask better questions. And what I did during this time, and this is so super important, is I come from gratitude. You asked me a question before, you said, what state? The one I live in most of the time is gratitude. First thing I do, I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head, that I have an amazing husband who's by my side, that my mom is healthy and her partner. Gratitude is super important. My kids are okay, my grandkids are okay, my friends are okay. Gratitude. First thing is gratitude. The second is I want to ask myself quality questions. I refuse to stay in an unresourceful place. And the only way to change it is the quality of your questions. So ask yourself better questions. Always go back to the energy triangle. How am I holding my body? What am I saying to myself? What's my language and questions? What's my focus? So here's what I did, just to give you an idea. People say the economy is bad. Is that true? You've heard that before? Okay, is it for everybody? No, it's not. There are some people that aren't affected at all, believe it or not. There's some people that are awfully affected, that jobs are not secure, that they don't know what's going to be. We don't know what the government can support. We don't know how long this is going to last. But there's also a need out here, because if we look at it the other way, people still need to eat. We still need to exist. We still need to take care of our health. We still have families. We still have education. We still have jobs. I'm over here ordering things online. Even though I'm home, I'm helping the economy. That's what I'm telling my husband. I'm helping the economy by buying things online, because the truth is that we need to make sure people stay in business long enough so there is business. I'm not joking. I'm saying it with a smile, but I'm serious. We need to make sure that people are in business. There are local restaurants opening, and there are some of us saying, well, order from them once a week is the minimum, just to make sure they can stay in business, or they may end up being out of business when this is over. So how can you support communities? The other piece too is in what most of you are doing with wellness. This is your season Tony Robbins would always say, winter is my season. And you need to understand, in a winter economy, I'm putting my business head on right now, okay? In a winter economy, people are spending money, but 93% of them are spending it differently. And what they want more than anything else is value, guarantees. They need that. Because now it's like, it's not like the money they have and they saved is gone. What it is that they're like, well, if I'm going to spend it, I have to spend it differently. I have to be wise about it. So for them, how can we support them? The other thing, instead of trying to sell everybody what you know they need, you need to have the conversation of what they want. Listen to what I said. Not what they need, but what they want. Linda, I'm going to share a webinar with you I did. It was amazing. We had over 420 people register for it for free. And it was how to take your offline business online. Would you like me to share that? And it literally will tell you what, hon?
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And this is really about changing the mindset. So what I did is I realized that the other day I said to one of my employees, I said, you know, this is what's happening. There's businesses, they still need to be in business. We still need to support them. There's people still buying stuff. I don't know, I'm still buying stuff. And it's like, well, how do we get out there without sounding insensitive, without not respecting where people are, but how do we still do business? Well, like Garth, you were saying, will business be there? I think it will be, but how we do business is changing. And what I mean by changing is our sales cycle might be a little longer because we have to build more trust and understanding of where people are now and be sensitive. But also, if we already built those relationships, and I call them legs to a table. So you know, if you have one leg, a table doesn't stand up, right? 2, it makes it's a 3 better, but if 4 is good, but 5 is even better. So we need to have many legs to tables, because when we have these relationships, tables, and resources, we have business. But if you've only exercised one leg, you don't have a business. You don't have resources. It doesn't work. You need to find different ways to do things. So I turned around and I said, well, what's the problem that my ideal client has right now? And I realized the problem my ideal client has is they weren't ready for this winter. Although we've been in a winter economy, by the way, for the last couple of years. That's when you don't have fruits on the tree. It's kind of harder to sell. Things are different. We've been in that economy for years, but we've never been where we are. But what it is I said, what is it they need and want right now? Because I know what they need, but what do they want? Because people will spend money for what they want, not what they need. Please hear what I said. People will spend money for what they want, not what they need. So I'll give you an example. I need to exercise, but I will not do it till I want to. Does that make sense? So we need to identify what people really want. So I thought about it when all this got announced and everybody was starting to be cut off. I say, know what they really want? They want to know how to get their business online. They want to know how to make money when they can't go out. They want to know how to reach more people because they don't know how to do that right now. So I turned around and in 2 days, I said, I'm going to create an online event for how to take your offline business online. And I had 420 people register who clicked on the link to learn more in only 40 hours. Do you understand? That's a lot in 40 hours. I was like, wow, we had 183 people, well, we had 420 click, 183 register. And I was like, wow, they really want this. This is important. And I have to tell you from that, I ended up having 84 show up, like half of them didn't show up. Many of them will watch the replay. You know how that works, right? But what ended up happening in an economy you think is bad, I want you to know that I ended up getting a lot of business from that webinar and I was not selling anything. Did you hear me? I wasn't selling anything. I was giving information, and at the end, I just shared, if you want help, just come talk to me. And at the end, I ended up getting many clients. But the thing is, what is it that your ideal clients want, and how can you add value to support them? That's what you need to be focused on right now. Not about, it's not about you. Get in their head. Get in the people's head and see how you can support them. Because here's the mistake. It's not about selling, it's about serving, it's about giving. That's why Linda's was looking for someone. I said, I'll absolutely help. I'm never worried about giving too much. I'm really never worried about giving too much. And the other piece is that giving value is more important than just giving. That's super important, giving value where somebody feels like, wow, that was great information. And also being consistent with who you are, being totally consistent with who you are. And what I mean by that is, if you're out there telling people there's another way and you're complaining about how things are you consistent and congruent? Do you follow what I'm saying? I think everybody's scared. I know that's a gross generalization, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned about my mom. She keeps going to all these doctors. Thank God they stopped, and she's worried about me. And I'm like, Mom, I'm more worried about you. You keep going to these doctors' offices where you're going to be more susceptible than I am when I'm not leaving. And I was like, I'm concerned about my family, but I'm not going online and going socially telling everybody I'm concerned about my family. I think people need to stop watching the news so much. I think there's too much over exaggeration of what's going on there. And if you can find a way to be the light right now. You know, I just had a really fun social today. This was really fun. I'm not even joking. We were hysterical. I had a social hour. You want to be able to get out there and connect with people. You want to know what's going to change. Our basic human need of survival. The second is loving connection, according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We need loving connection. So I decided I just want a social hour. So I got a group of people together, and I don't know if you have it set up right now, Linda, to do it, but I would be able to show you how. The Zoom has the ability to do breakout rooms, right? So we ended up having these breakout rooms, and I had people introducing themselves, finding out what they have in common. And then we had this little game at the end. We were laughing at the end. They all loved it. And you know what? There was nothing for anything else other than community. It was totally about community and connecting, and it was beautiful. And I had 50-something people sign up for it, just like here with all these people. We had all the people sign up for it. We had about 30 show up. And people all wrote me notes saying, thank you, that was awesome. We really needed that. I needed the laugh. That was great connecting with other people. It's like, how do you create that for people? Because remember, what do they want and what do they need? Think about what people are looking for. So we can focus on what's wrong, or we can focus on what's right. I always ask myself, what's good about this? And when I found that opportunity, I said, what's good about this? And I have to tell you, I ended up getting a 6-figure payday from what's good about this in this economy. So when you tell me people aren't spending money, I'm going to beg to differ with you. People are. It's just how they're spending it, with whom they're spending is different. So I know you said that there's many coaches here and stuff. Your business is not over. Now more than ever, people need you. They really do. I have several clients that are therapists. They're my clients, and you know, people are coming in even more. They're anxious, they're scared, they're concerned. You know, how am I going to do things? And you know what? They're going to need somebody's help. It might as well be you. But how are you showing up and how are you getting out there is a whole nother variable. And I think that's the important piece too. The one thing I see as a challenge is that there's so much noise out there, and I think it's going to get even harder. In sales, there's an expression that says that it used to take 7 times for someone to see you before they decided to work with you. Now the touch points are 16. With what's going on now, I can't even imagine what it's going to be, because it feels like there's so much noise. In other words, you might have talked to someone, sent an email, they saw something, they read something, they saw a promotion. There's all kinds of things, like how many times do they need to see something before they said yes? You know, are they the people that you need to build long-term relationships with, or they're the ones that say, okay, I already know, like, and trust you, I'm ready to do work with you? There's a different variable on how things are. So Barbie, when we started, before everybody got on here, and you were sharing about the business, I think your business should be booming right now. And the reason I mean that is because I'm taking even more vitamins than I did before. I'm being more conscious about all this stuff, my conversation on Facebook. I just did a Facebook Live this afternoon because I was really angry at my mother for buying cottage cheese and milk. I really was. Because I'm like, why are you buying that stuff? Because we know she has a shoulder surgery twice, and we found dairy really disrupts it. Dairy is hurting her. We proved it. And I said, why did you get that? We got you off the dairy. You're doing so good. She goes, well, I just wanted to make sure I had protein in the house. I'm like, there's other ways to get protein. So I was like, what are you doing? So we have to look at different conversations we're having. And I decided to go on a little rant, which was funny, that, just take care of yourself. It doesn't have to be a sales thing, is what I'm telling you. Share your wisdom, share your gifts, but it doesn't have to be a sales thing. Does that help?
Yeah, I want to explore this topic a little more, because right now people are going to, when you said that a lot of people weren't ready for this, and that's why it feels like a little bit of a panic for some. You've worked from home for over 20 years. We've been working from home for quite a while. How do we bring compassion and that value piece of, maybe it's 16 touch points, and we're all in the Gary Vee world, like digital marketing, it's been add value 10 times before you get to ask for any, sale, because the relationship building is so much more important now more than ever. And so, there's two things that I want to touch on that I think are so important that you've raised over this time, is what people want and what people need are different. And if we're at them, even though like our mums are always going to be the trigger, they grew up, their model of the world is back in, the grapefruit diet with cottage cheese, right?
Yes.
The big dollop of cottage cheese on it. What the? But we go back to that fear and that survival part. So the people who are going to be able to add the most value right now are going to, create the biggest change. I definitely want to be one of those people. And so managing our state, asking great questions. There's anytime I feel tension for me, I go straight to, there's a better question. What's my statement that I'm making? There's a better question. And it's often the how can I?
Yeah.
And can you share with us some of your favorite questions that you ask, coaching questions to your clients, to your business partners? Because I think there's going to be a lot of people watching this and watching the replay saying, gosh, I don't know that I've really thought about what my ideal client really wants right now. And is it different to what I think that they need? Because it's like, I know I can get on a very high horse about nutrition. They want safety certainty.
Right.
And I can go on about antioxidants all day, and this is what you need, and it's anti-inflammatory, and it's 4 times more antioxidants, and I can start. I love research. That's my certainty, right? That's not what people want. It's no use me going on about that. So I think that that's so valuable, not just from a marketing and sales point of view, but relationships, life, like our family. Let's just go to our family for a minute. What do our kids need right now compared to what they want? My kids want Freddo frogs. They want sugar. I wanted sugar yesterday. I'm like, I want sugar for breakfast. And even though I know it's going to reduce my immune system by 50% for the next few hours. Now, I know this. We're humans. We've got the monkey brain, right? We show up and it's like, I want sugar because I'm a little stressed. And that's going to make me feel better. I know what I need is a green smoothie. But I didn't want a green smoothie for breakfast this morning. So, how do we use our compassion, our intelligence, our, the quality questions, and think about how do we manage us first and foremost? I'm using a lot of compassion right now, for me especially, which I never used to do. And what kind of tools are you using? So you just said a webinar. For those that maybe are not brave enough for a webinar, what can they do in their business, their house, their life at the moment that would feel, an easy step?
Okay. So there were so many things there.
There's so many questions in here, I know.
Thank God I'm a woman and I could answer.
Anyone, of course. I gave you all of the things.
I was keeping a list in my head, but if it was my husband, he'd be like, wait, I'm still on the first one. Right, Garth? You're like, what? What was the first one? Okay, so let
How do
me
we meet what they want and then give them what they need? I think that's
I'm on the question first. So quality questions can be anything from what's good about this to what else could this mean? When you're in a,
let me catch you a few here. That's a really powerful one. It's Lauren's favorite one. What else could this mean? So
what else could this mean? You know, I think a lot of times there's a presupposition that we have with people, and I've been teaching coaches for years, is that everybody has the answers within them. And if we know that everybody has the answers within them, then you never have to have the answer. You just have to ask quality questions for them to come to their own conclusion. So when we say that, like, what else could this mean? Or is there another way to look at this? Or can you put yourself in their shoes? How would they feel? Is that true? I love Byron Katie. Is that true? Is that really true? Who do I need to believe is that's true? Because a lot of times, as I shared earlier, point your finger at me. As you're pointing your finger at somebody else and you're challenged with what's going on, how many are pointing back at you?
Oh, Penny.
Right? There's 3 pointing back at you. So the idea is when we're over there blaming or dealing with other stuff, we got to look at ourselves sometimes, because a lot of the challenges are your own limiting beliefs. So if you're having a hard time, you're thinking things are very challenging, you think things aren't going to happen, or you're putting it on other people, those are your beliefs that you're just putting on to other people. You need to I always, do a checkup from the neck up. That's usually my framework. It's like, okay, we need to do a checkup from the neck up. And that's important because a lot of times we don't do that, and we're over there thinking it's everybody else and it's our own limitations. So we want to be clear on that, okay? The other thing you asked about was, besides the questions, what was the other thing you just said, Linda? You said, you gave me the list. I was following you, but I just went masculine on it. Like, what was the other one? I only got one. So there, you talked about the questions you asked. You talked about, knowing the difference from a want and a need. Here's, and this is not a promotion, so I'm going to say it, but it's the only easiest way for me to do it. I wrote a book called Brand You, Become the Expert. It's a step-by-step guide to create your personal unique brand for more sales, more clients, more often. You can get it for free. It is a $7 shipping and handling fee. Because you're not in the US, it'd be more money. So if you just message me, I will send you the ebook for free, okay? If you write me an email to Lisa@Find2Fab, okay? Lisa@Find2Fab, because if you go online, you're out of the country, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be like $25, otherwise it's only $7, but we're giving the book for free. And it's FINETO, FINETOBFAB.com, Find2Fab.com. But if you just do it, I'll send you the book for free. And what is great about that, it's really about understanding, one, when you're in a company, in a direct sales company, there's a very big challenge people don't realize. It's called marketing myopia. You're all wearing, you all have a sign and you're all saying, I sell this product, but it's the same product. And so why would someone go to one person versus another person versus another? You need to brand yourself as something unique so they see you as something different. And I told you I built my business in the direct sales industry, and I was top 1%, $1 million club earner, the whole deal. But the thing is, I branded myself around technology. I was into websites and helping businesses get online. And although they have nutrition and they have this and they have this and they have this, I'm like, no, I didn't even use the company name. And I still won't, because I have no interest in building any of that anymore. But the point is that brand yourself so that people look for you for what you have. Understanding what your ideal client is understanding who you're marketing to. If you're selling to everyone, no one's buying. You got to figure out who wants what they want and what they're buying. And the challenge is, if you're putting out there, you need this, you need this, you need this, then you're not actually marketing. You're just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something's going to stick. And that's not how it works. It is not how it works. It's about filling a need, finding out what people are looking for and how to do that. And then, Linda, you talked about compassion. Compassion is not about going out, selling and building your business is not about going out there and pushing products. It's about going out there and getting to know people and how you can serve them. And when you can serve people and there's a genuine need, if they want it, they'll get it. If they want it, they'll get it. So you don't have to push. Please hear me. If you feel like you're selling, you probably are, and you need to stop. If you feel like, my husband was a computer programmer. He worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers. amazing, amazing guy. I friggin' love my husband, thank God. He is the funniest thing though. I took him on a meeting one day. We have a web development company, I told you, for 18 years. I took him on an appointment with me. We get in the car. He goes, I hate salespeople. And I'm like, what? He goes, I hate salespeople. We're together 21 years. I looked at him and I was like, you know, handsome, you married one. I was like, what do you mean you hate salespeople? We got into the place and the owner wasn't there, and they had someone at the counter that was a little rude to us. And Yardley felt like he was rejected. So he's like, I hate salespeople. And I was like, you know, handsome, this is not about you. You can't be taking this personally. They said no to chocolate chip cookies. He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, they liked oatmeal raisin and you offered them chocolate chip and they didn't want your chocolate chip cookies. And he's like, huh? I was like, here's the deal. We need to know what they want. You're selling them what they need. They wanted oatmeal raisin, you're selling chocolate chip. They didn't want that. But he was so upset with sales. And I was like, handsome, you know what? I have never sold anything in my career. Now I've done $60 million in revenue in sales, but I've never sold anything. I'll tell you why. Because I never sold anything to someone who wasn't buying. Did you hear me? I didn't sell anything to someone who wasn't buying. If I have to convince them, they're not going to buy it anyway. There'd be buyer's remorse and they'd get their money back. So it's more about finding out what they want and giving it to them. That's really what this is finding out what people want and giving it to them. And I think people make the mistake by not doing that. And they just push products instead of getting to know people and finding out how to serve them. Is that helpful?
It's super helpful. It's solution giving, right? It's being a detective and it's providing solutions, you know, that process. And so, what's your favorite education on this? Your books, I mean, you've offered us 2 free, you know, 2 ebooks and a webinar that is just unbelievable, massive value. Who taught you this in the earlier days?
Linda, I spent $1 million, I'm up to $1.4 million in my education.
Yeah.
I have a picture to show it. I have been trained by everybody from when I started at MCI, they sent me to Tom Hopkins.
Yes.
And that was my first training. He wrote the book, How to Sell Like a Lion, Act Like a Lamb. And I was in sales for MCI. They sent me to his training. I learned from Zig Ziglar, from Wayne Dyer, from Jay Abraham, from Tony Robbins, Chet Holmes, from Keith Cunningham, from Donald Miller is my new favorite, Story Brand. If you haven't got his book, get his book, Story Brand. He's my new favorite.
Oh, I haven't read his, I love the podcast even, and there's so much free information on the website, storybrand.com.
And you just sign up for his newsletter. You get like a 2-3 minute thing every day. He talks about when people have to burn too many calories, you're making it too difficult. He's my new favorite. And if you looked at my screen on the right, you'll see a whole bunch of little things open. I listen to him all the time. I'm a junkie for all this stuff. I've been trained. I'm also friends with Mark Victor Hansen and Sharon Lechter. Sharon Lechter is the co-author of Think and Grow Rich with Kiyosaki, and Sharon's my girlfriend. And I've been studying from all these masters for decades. And literally, there's not one person who I can tell you, whether it's the Kevin Nations and Frank Kearns and all these other people that I have learned from. But I went to school for marketing advertising. I have a minor in technology and computers. I had my own computer consulting company. I worked for IBM and MCI. My ex-husband and I owned a marketing company. He had it for 30 years. I was with him for 8. So how I learned to do all this, I'm a student. Remember, great followers are great leaders. And I had invested in tons of mentors to teach me how to do it. I never wanted to reinvent the wheel. I found someone who was doing and they did it. I promise you the online event on how to build your business, take your offline business online. You're going to get so many nuggets. You're going to have like writer's cramp. Some people told me it was a fire hose. I just kept giving. And I did it because I wanted to make sure. I was honestly concerned. I've been doing this for decades. I have a web development company, 18 years. So technology is not new to me. I've been doing this for years. I've been helping people get online and market. The challenge is if you haven't been doing it as a normal basis, you're reacting now versus responding. You're figuring, well, how do I get out there? I got to do it now. And you need to have a plan. It's not like you have to do it all at once. You just have to put a plan out. And you have to be consistent about anything you put out and do it, like do something every day. You don't have to do a lot, just do something and get yourself out there, get your message out there.
Okay, there's so much value in this, and everyone's going crazy in the comments there about that, which is awesome. So I'm happy this is landing. I really like this question. Kate Vane, she's a stay-at-home mama. She's working online, and she's asking, what's the difference between branding herself and then reinventing the wheel? Because, what I see is quite common is people will join us, in the business. They'll see some who are advanced. Maybe, they're just naturally good on social media. There's natural marketers out there that are sponge for this, that learn this very quickly. So to rephrase her question exactly, what's the difference between branding yourself and reinventing the wheel? I like this question.
Well, I think I need to clarity and specificity on what's reinventing the wheel to her.
Can you come back on camera, honey? She's got babies in the background, which is perfect because this is the new stay-at-home mama. Go ahead, Kate.
So can you expand on that, Kate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the business that we're in, it's really easy to get caught up in doing work that's not really work, and trying to create content. And then there's that difference of, there can be so much noise on social media. How can I stand apart and be a point of difference for people and have that attraction value without wasting my own time and without being not of service to other people.
Awesome. And I'm gonna give you the answer. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been training on this for over a decade. One is an 80-20 rule. Okay, your time on social media for business can be done in 15 minutes. 15 minutes a day. A lot of times you're getting caught as a voyeur. You're looking at everybody's stuff. Tell me you don't do that, because I do it. And all of a sudden an hour goes by and I'm like, what happened? I had other things I had to get done and I just got caught scrolling. So here's what it is. If you're doing memes and you're doing stuff, if you're doing it, there's an app called WordSwag. Are you familiar with it? It's an app on your thing called WordSwag. It can make a meme for you, which is just a quote, and you can put your logo or whatever it is on it. I used to sit there while I'm waiting for somebody to do something and make 20 different memes, which means 20 days of post in about 10 minutes. Did you hear me? 20, like you can sit watching TV and make a whole bunch of memes and you have enough for the entire month. And then all you need to do is post it. I have an expression and a rule with anybody I work with. If it's under $25 an hour, it's not your job. So you can go to Upwork or Fiverr or somewhere and you can get a virtual assistant for like $5 an hour, and you can have them work for you for 5 hours a week and have them post on every social media for you and do all the other stuff. Unless you want to, if you have the time, you do it yourself, but understand that you don't have to do a lot to do that. When we're talking about branding, it's being consistent. I see people go out and they're selling nutrition, now they're selling websites, then they're selling pet care, then they're selling skincare, and then they're selling this care. And it's like, well, I don't understand, jack of all, master of none. What do you do? Well, whatever you want, I do it. Well, then are you the professional at that? Or, if you have a background and if your business is helping moms stay home, then that's your brand. Do you understand? Not necessarily the vehicle you're using. It's helping moms stay home. That's your brand. People confuse it. On the webinar I said I'd share with Linda to share with you, I show pictures and explain the difference, because here's what's happening. Marketing myopia is because people are selling the product, not the brand. Revlon, Mr. Revlon, who makes makeup, do you have makeup, the Revlon there too, right? So he was once asked, what business are you in? And when he was asked that question, he said, I am in the business of selling what? Guess. What business was Mr. Revlon in? What?
Beauty, self-esteem.
Close, very, very close. He was in the business of selling hope. Everybody thought he was in the makeup business. He was in this business of selling hope. So what it is that when you're in the business of selling hope and you're not in the business of selling makeup, it's a different sell. He branded himself to make women feel good about themselves, to sell hope that you can be beautiful, you can feel beautiful, you can do all the other stuff. What is it you want to be known for when someone says, hey, Kate Bain, what does she do? Well, she helps moms stay at home with their kids. You know, okay, you brand yourself there. How you do it is the vehicle. Do you understand? That's the difference. The other thing is that I have a belief called around result producing activities. 80% has to be result producing, 20% administration. If you're spending your time moving papers around and doing all this other stuff and you're not connecting with people, then you're not doing result producing activities. I have a rule of 3 C's. Conversations create cash. Conversations create cash. I'm speaking to you. I'm not looking here for promotion, but if I'm here and I'm not talking to anyone, I'm not connecting with anybody on social media, I'm not private messaging anyone, I'm not calling my business associates, I'm not talking to my clients, I'm not creating cash. So if I'm not having a conversation, I'm not creating revenue. Does this make sense? So when we look at it, is how much am I doing to actually build my business and how much am I doing for other things, and Canva works too. There's a lot of different things out there, just sort of the stuff, but if that's okay. But the thing is, what am I doing that's result producing, that's getting me where I want to be? Because otherwise we get caught in the weeds. And when we're caught in the weeds, there's no money for you, no money for anybody. It's not how you want to build it. Did I answer your question, Kate? Okay, awesome.
That was so good. We are like, this 1 hour has flown by because there's so much content just coming so thick and fast. It's been amazing. Is there anything else that you wish to say? There's a lot of people on here who have big hearts, who want to be the change, who want to make the impact. You know, what would your final words be for them to really just focus on, you know, whether it's scheduling, you know, their daily, you know, tasks, this 80-20, the calendar, what's the one thing, parting advice for us?
You know what, I think the one thing is that if my business partners and if other people in my business were doing what I'm doing, would my business grow? And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Can you say it again? I'm going to type it out.
The question you ask yourself, if my business associates were doing what I'm doing in this moment, would my business grow? And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't be doing it. It is $1 million question. Yes. Boom. Thank you for Jackie. And that's how I built $1 million business.
That's amazing. That is a very big one to finish on. And I need to save this chat. Get all of this out. Do you know, there's some incredible smart people that are so quick on all that word swag stuff. They're summarizing these calls in 10 minutes after the call and they're putting it straight on a story. It's like, awesome. I'm gonna take a photo of that and we'll pop it up for everyone, because it's amazing. You know, the content sharing and collaboration is definitely the way of the future. And I'm so grateful that you said, Linda, I want to help, because you've just created so much value here. Can everyone, I'm just going to go to gallery view so we can give Lisa a huge, huge thank you from our heart.